let's talk about our Saturday game versus the Chicago Bears. Obviously, this bad boy is going to go ahead and be in Chicago, so it's not going to obviously be at home for this game. Game time weather is going to be 78 degrees. It's going to be cloudy, but for the most part, it's going to be a pretty good, atmosphere for this game. Now, keep in mind that Zach has already came out and said we're not going to be starting any starters in this game, so it will be an all backup type of game, which it is what it is at the end of the day. We're not going to see any more Joe Burrow the rest of preseason. We're not going to see Jamar Chase. We're not going to see T. Higgins. We're not going to see any of these guys. You could also make the argument that injuries won't happen now for our starters, and that is also a positive. With that being said, that means we're going to see most likely a half of Logan Woodside and another half of Rocky Lombardi. We will be seeing a lot of Jermaine Burton, a lot of Eric All, a lot of Tanner McLaughlin. We're also going to be seeing a lot of Josh Newton, and probably a lot of DJ Turner. I say probably, but I don't know how much exactly we're going to see of him. So, what are the 5 keys, or I guess 5 things I want to see out of this preseason game? Okay, number 1, I'm not too worried about the quarterback situation, right? Obviously, Jake Browning has an injury. He has rib injury. He'll be out for some time. But I think it's pretty much clear cut at this point. It's going to be Logan Woodside because Rocky Lombardi's already drafted to the UFL. He's going to be on the UFL, whatever. Logan Woodside's going to be the third quarterback. It's either going to be him or he's going to be on the practice squad. But with Rocky Lombardi, unless somehow, some way, there isn't really even a way, to be honest. Because even if he looked good, he's not going to beat out Jake Browning. So, therefore, we're not going to carry 3 quarterbacks. So, really what it comes down to now with the injury to Chris Evans, he's out for the season, sadly, it's going to be the running back position might get a little interesting with these last 2 games. We got Chase Brown as a starter. We're not going to see any Zach Moss. But we do have, of course, Travion Williams as the RB2. But now that RB3 right there does open up greatly. And we have a couple undrafted guys that could potentially make a name for themselves. We saw Collins last game make a name for himself a little bit. And we're going to potentially see even more players start making a name for themselves. And they're going to compete with Travion Williams here for that RB3 role. Now, Travion has looked good throughout training camp so far and the preseason. But we're going to see if maybe these other guys could have a chance at taking over that spot. Keep in mind, right now, Zach Moss and Chase Brown are the only technical locked-in spots. Most likely, Travion will be locked in, but again, like I said, this is a positional battle. Anything could happen. That's number 1. Number 2, offensive line. Okay, Trent Brown's not going to be playing in this game. Amarius Mims is hurt. So that means we're going to see some Jackson Carman, Cody Ford, and let's be honest, you know who we care about, Matt Lee. Matt Lee looked absolutely amazing in his first debut performance last week versus the Bucs. And if he can look good again, and he can, again, consistency, which is something that Zach has preached, everyone on the Bengals preaches this, consistency, consistency, consistency. If he can look good again, there is a real possibility, maybe not, it depends on how he looks in week 3. There's a real possibility they start to think, well, maybe on some plays we might put Teddy K at left guard and Matt Lee at center. There's a way for him to get into a starting lineup role for the center position. So, Matt Lee, right now, the ball is in his court. And if he continues to look good, this is going to be a humongous step forward for us as a unit because we're going to be able to actually maybe move Teddy K to left guard. If Cordell Volson is having problems, then we can actually see what we have out of this because we're not going to see any more Cordell Volson this offseason. This preseason, no more starters, so no more Cordell Volson, which means he is technically going to be the starter, but there's always a chance something else could happen. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be this linebacking core / pass rushers. Now, we already seen last week. We have a couple guys who are really kind of making some names for themselves. Obviously, Cedric Johnson made a name for himself, our 6th round draft pick. You also got, I always butcher the guy's name. You know who I'm talking about. The name starts with an N. I'm going to learn his name eventually. If he makes 53-man roster, I have to learn his name. But I always butcher his name, and I don't want to butcher his name. But that's another guy who's been looking really good. Obviously, there's going to be no Joseph Asai. Myles Murphy will be playing in the preseason, though. So we'll see him kind of continue to develop. But I just want to see some actual, I'll say sway, but I want to see some actual power out of some of these pass rushers, especially low in the depth chart type of guys. I want to see some actual action from them. We're going to be playing against the Bears number 1s. They're going to start Caleb Williams. They're going to start their starters. So we're going to have to really pick it up where I know we have a lot of backups in there, but we're going to have to figure something out. Okay, that's definitely one of those situations that's easier said than done. But I think our backups, even though last week we kind of struggled a little bit, keep in mind that was the first preseason game. A lot of people say that that could just be a wash. It pretty much is at the end of the day. But we need to get some pressure on Caleb Williams. Keep in mind, Caleb Williams, also a mobile quarterback. So kind of getting that Lamar Jackson range where he can kind of move around and make some plays with his legs. So another kind of good test here to see if we can actually contain Caleb Williams in some capacity. So that's number 3. Number 4, keep in mind, we're going to see very vanilla coaching vanilla play calls. We see that on offense and defense. You always see that in preseason. You never see any realm of playbook when it comes to offense or defense. Just because you don't show that in the preseason. That would be idiotic. But with Brad Robbins currently questionable, he most likely won't be playing in this game. I mean, it's possible. It says his estimated return is this game. We talked about his injury the other day, though. It's one of those situations where it's just going to take time to heal and get better. So I wouldn't be surprised if he, in theory, doesn't play at all. I mean, again, like I said, very possibly could. But this is a huge opportunity, though, for Ryan to actually take a huge step forward when it comes to this game. Especially if he can look pretty good in this punting role in this game. Again, Brad obviously having a little bit of the edge, I feel like, just because I feel like they like him a little bit more. They drafted him, they put draft capital on him. And again, it was a 5th round draft pick. It's not saying that, you 100% have to keep a guy just because you drafted him. But it definitely does spark some, you want to give him a fair shot. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. So with that being said, Ryan could take a huge step forward in this game and really make a name for himself even more. And again, consistency is everything. And the last and final thing I'll say is the tight end room. So no Mike Gesicki in this game, but we are going to see Eric All and Tanner McLaughlin. Now, those two guys are guys that Eric All is going to make the roster. Tanner McLaughlin, I think he will, but you never know with Tanner. So that's another guy which I will say, again, could technically not make the roster here. So you want to see him make the roster. You want to see him show off in this game. You want to see him really go out there and perform the best. And this is going to be a game where we're going to see him for pretty much the whole entire game. I'm very sure that Zach's not going to limit any of these guys in this game, especially these roster bubble guys. Now, while this, again, is a very, I'd say for the most part, clear cut when it comes to the roster, we kind of know the 53-man roster for the most part, I will say this is definitely a game, this game in the last preseason, things can get shaken up. Nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Anything could change at any given time, so you got to always be on your P's and Q's here. And I think for the most part, guys will be absolutely fine. But just Just keep in mind, anything could happen. So I will be live Saturday, which is obviously tomorrow. I will be live for tomorrow's game, and I will be streaming it on the channel as always. We'll be going crazy, screaming and yelling, and you have not seen a live stream of me playing this game, streaming the game, then yeah, you're in for a very wild ride, because we get crazy, we scream, even in the preseason. I know, it's crazy. It's the preseason, who cares? I do. Because we love football. And we love preseason football. We love regular season football. We love postseason football. We love training camp practices and everything in between, okay? That's just how I work. So I know a lot of you guys on the channel that follow me, how you guys work as well, is it's Bengals football. I'm getting crazy, okay? Thank you guys for watching, though. I'll see you guys next one.